So today, I will tell you a story about two birds. However, I'm going to give you a hint. I'm telling you the answer now. Then I'm going to ask you the question later. And then, are you going to be able to remember the answer? Let's see. My mom once looked outside and saw two birds flying together. Okay? They were flying together right next to each other. And she thought, what are they? What is their relationship? Some people would say, oh, they're friends. How much would you bet? Dream, if you had $1,000 to your name, how much would you bet that they were friends? If you win, you get $1,000 back. If you lose everything. If you were sure they were friends, you would bet $1,000 because that's a guaranteed win. But what else could they be? They could be brother and sister. They could be sister and brother. They could be teacher and student. They could be a monk and a little boy. They could be a monk and a little girl that asked too many questions. They could be two young kids fighting over some candy. They could be grandmother and grandson, grandmother and granddaughter. They could be two grandparents. They could be strangers. They could be a boss and a student, a boss and their employee. How many combinations are there possible? Almost unlimited. So if there's unlimited choices, how much should you bet? Nothing, because you would just lose your money, right? Any foolish person would know not to bet their money. Only super fools would know that only super fools would bet their money. The wise would know not to bet their money because they would lose everything, right? The Buddha taught the same thing, Dream, that if you bet your feelings on one outcome, one belief, and you're so sure it's true, and it doesn't become true, that's where all the suffering comes from. The suffering comes from thinking two birds are guaranteed to be one thing. But sometimes birds are not what you think. Okay? Something interesting happened here at the temple. So the other day, after a long retreat, one of our monks, Phra Kru Palat, the super fix-it monk who fixes everything at the temple, he came to me and said, Prajan, something happened in the backyard. You have to come see it. I'm like, okay. And we went outside and I didn't see anything. He said, there was a crow here on the floor and it's dying. Most likely it's old and it's injured and it can't fly. But I don't know where it went. So I said, maybe it flew away. He's like, maybe, but it couldn't fly earlier. And so we walked back to the door. In the corner, the crow was there. And we looked at it looked at us scared. And we thought, wow, he's right. This crow must be old and injured and cannot fly. And then all of a sudden, Dream, we heard a sound. Caw, caw. It's not this guy. We looked up, there's another crow atop. And he said, that's the crow's homie. He's watching out for him, protecting him so that worried about what happens to his crow homie. And we were like, wow, look at the homies. Like he felt like, that's my friend. He doesn't abandon his friend. And we were like, I have a thing where I started tearing up, like, wow, even crows have loyalty and friendship and kinship. And so it started to rain a little bit, San Francisco stuff, like foggy rain. So Ajahn Wantun says, we have to help it. Like, what do you mean? Because it's raining. They're going to get wet and get sick. It's like, what do you want to do? Well, let's make a box and cover him. We're like, okay, but make sure you have holes so they can breathe. Okay. So he makes a nice box and covers it. Of course, the crow runs out of the box. So it didn't work. So what do we do now? He said, let's make it a house. So he went to get a tarp and tied it up to cover the top so that the rain won't get on the crow. This monk is very kind. He worked so hard to save that crow. The morning came. We went out to look at the crow. It was gone. What happened to the crow? He probably flew away. Looked up, but his homie was still there. So we're like, wow, overnight homie. That's like a 2-day homie. But then we looked to the left. Now the crow ran all the way to the corner of the door. He's still there. So finally we called animal control, where they take care of the wild animals, and they came out. And they looked at the crow and they said, this is a baby crow. And it's not that he can't fly, he's learning how to fly. And that is not his homie, that's his mommy. And so if you cover up the box and you cover up the tent, then the mom can't see the crow and she will think that her kid is gone. And so she won't come back and feed or take care of her baby anymore. How much did we bet? What is the problem here?
You were like very you're like, oh, they must be friends. Like, oh my gosh, they have to be friends.
Do you see what happened, Dream? We bet. We bet that what? They were homies. We bet that what? He's old. We bet that what? He can't fly ever again. We bet that what? It's raining, he's gonna get sick. We bet that his homie is here to protect him. Every bet that we made. You know how much money we lost? You know how much suffering we made? And we almost hurt him with our good intentions because we were too busy betting that he needs our help. Too busy betting that he's old and helpless. Too busy betting that he needs us. Do you know what would have been the best thing to do? And you know what they told us to do? Do nothing. Leave him alone. Don't go close to him. Don't touch him. Don't talk to him. Don't scare him. Leave him alone. Sooner or later, he will fly away. We even had a kind old doctor went and gave him some nuts. And that crow didn't eat the nuts. And then the animal control said, crows eat fruit, not nuts. They don't have teeth. So, what does this story teach us? Just like the answer in the beginning, right? Everything you see and everything you think is not always what you think it is. It is what it is, but it might not be what you think it is. So before you decide to, I have to do this. This is the best answer. I have to do this. Remember the two birds story. Are they homies? Are they mother and daughter, mother and son? Or are they something else? If you don't know, don't be so quick to decide and bet all your money, or the suffering will be yours. Satu?